Now to the effort to make sure the votes of our troops overseas are counted. Military voting was the subject of a House Armed Services Military Subcommittee hearing on Friday. The chairman of the subcommittee, Republican South Carolina Congressman Joe Wilson, concerned about a new report that claims the number of military absentee ballots counted in the 2010 election was only 4.6%. That study from the group Military Families United. Eric Eversole heads its military voter protection project there. He also conducted the study with the Chapman School of Law, and he's a former Bush administration lawyer. Eric, welcome on this Sunday morning. This is such a vital issue, making sure that our troops, all of our troops can vote. What's the concern?
Well, the concern here is that we saw data from several states that showed that only 5, 6, 7% of our service members are able to, or were able to, request an absentee ballot in the 2010 election. Since so many of them are so far from home, most of them have to rely on the absentee voting process, and if they aren't able to request an absentee ballot in the first instance, then they're not going to be able to vote when the actual election comes around. So we got to find. Sorry.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but do you find the issue is on the end of a lot of local districts? I mean, in New York and Illinois, for example, they had deadlines that they asked for waivers to get around, but you got to get that stuff out there.
Well, you certainly got to get the ballot out there, but if there's not a valid request in the first instance, and you're right, there were significant problems in New York. They rejected 1 out of 3 every absentee ballot that came back from the service members. But again, if they don't have that absentee ballot request in the first instance to give that signal to New York to send the ballot, then they're not participating at all. And so the question in my mind is, what's really critical here is how do we get that other 94 or 95% of our service members to request an absentee ballot and participate in the elections? Unfortunately, local election officials can't walk on a military installation and start registering their service members. So it's really incumbent on the Department of Defense, the Pentagon, to make sure that they step in lieu of these local offices to make sure that those absentee ballot requests are made and made in a timely manner.
Yeah, they have the Defense Department does have an office that deals with that. They have given us a statement. That's the Office of Federal Voting Assistance Program. Its director is Bob Carey, and here's the statement he gave to Fox News in part. Some of his statement. The Department of Defense has been proactive in identifying challenges with military voting. The department is aware of the Military Voter Protection Project report and understands the report is based on the raw data reported by the states. Preliminary data from the department's post-election survey shows an increase in military voter participation from 2006 to 2010 at a rate that may even exceed the voter participation of the general population. However, he says the data is still under analysis. So while it's all under analysis, let's take a look at what they said about the 2008 election, and this is pretty interesting. 73% of active duty military personnel voted, but look at this. 67% absentee ballot return rate. You know what that means? 1/3 did not get the absentee ballots back. 17% said they never got the absentee ballot they wanted. And Eric at Fox News, at our voter fraud at foxnews.com, I got a ton of emails from military members around the world who say, hey, we asked our local office for an absentee ballot. I never got one and couldn't vote. How do we change that and make sure they do vote?
Well, one of the things that have been implemented under the new law, which is significantly going to improve it, is the electronic delivery options. Those, being able to send ballots via email, that's a significant improvement for a lot of service members. That's one critical solution. But we also, another critical aspect of it was that there were some express mail delivery options as well. And I think those are going to help improve as we continue to move forward in future elections.
So do you think eventually, I mean, it may be almost impossible to get 100%. It could be up in the 90s. Do you think that eventually every military member, yeah, go ahead, wants to vote, will vote?
Yeah, I mean, I think yes. I mean, I think that, as long as we continue to keep a spotlight on this issue and keep people's feet to the fire to make sure that our service members have every reasonable opportunity to vote, I think we can overcome this. The states have done a better job in 2010 making sure the ballots got out on time. There were some mistakes made, there's no doubt about that. But as long as we keep the spotlight on it and keep our federal government officials as well as our state and local election officials, make them follow the law, then I think we're going to get much significant improvement in this area.
All right, Eric Eversole, and your group is Military Families United?
Yes.
All right. You got a website. You've been studying this issue, and a little over a year before there's the general election. Eric, thanks for joining us on this important issue.
Thank you.